Hi friends, good morning. Welcome to our next tutorial on Java. So this is the continuation tutorial for this arrays. In array, we discussed about two types. Now we'll concentrate here on single dimensional array. Single dimension array. So single dimension array is a collection of multiple values represented from the single row or single column. So it's represented as a simply single row or column. Any one of the data, single row or column data that we can consider as an here, this we can say as single dimension array. So how you can define this? What is the syntax for this? So here we can see the syntax of this, how we can define the syntax of this. Here is data type. First you can define the data type, then it followed by array name. Here this braces defines the array. So each pair of square bracket represent as one dimension. So if it is 1, this we can say as a single dimension. If it is a 2, that we can say as a multi-dimension. So the name of the array can be valid Java identifier. What is the name here we are giving? That should be valid. That should be valid as a Java identifier. So here we have some rules. So rule 1. What is the rule 1? At the time of array declaration, we can specify pair of array either before the array name or after the array name. This we can specify different ways. So that is a array declaration. That is what we are specifying the brackets. That you can specify in different ways. See, I will show you some example here. Int. So int roll number. This is one array. You can define like this, or you can define like this. I am defining one more array, double marks. You can define like this also. Else you can define char grade like this also. This is also array declaration. Or boolean result, and like this also you can define. So all are valid statements only. Means either you can define these brackets before the name or after the name. These all are the valid statements only. So this is the rule number 1. So now we'll see rule number 2. What is rule number 2? For array, at the time of array declaration, we should not specify the size of the array. Means we should not specify the size of the array. So syntax for creation of single dimensional array, how it should be here. See here for this also we are not specifying any size. How it can define here we can see here. So data type, then array name, here array equal to new data type. Here we can define size. Here we can define the size. This is one. Or same we can define like this, or we can define like this, data type array name, array declaration. Then in the next line you can write like this: array name equal to new data type of, like this. You can define this. For example, how we can define here? Example, we can see the example of this. Example: int array equal to new int. Here I want to define this array is a 10. Or the same syntax, how we can define int array, again in next line array equal to new int. Here we can define the size 10, like this. This is the one more rule for this. And after this, there is one more rule, that is the rule number 3. So rule number 3 is very simple. Specifying the size of the array at the time of array creation is mandatory, and it should be of byte. It should be, means size mandatory. Size is mandatory, and it should be of byte, short, int, char, only these types. It should be byte, either byte, integer, short, or character. And the size of the array must be a positive number. So size, whatever the size we are defining, that must and it should be positive number only. It should not allow negative numbers. If a negative number is specified, then we can get runtime error called negative. So we get some exception. That exception as negative array size exception. So we can get this whenever we have negative value. So we can get this exception. That is exception. So, and next here, when an array is created, the memory of the array will be allocated in a sequential memory locations. So here, when any array has created here, that memory can be as in a sequential order. How? Here a simple way I'll show you here. I'm taking here as some 10 digits of this. First here I'm defining values of each. Here is all 0. Adding the values in each 0, 0, 0. Then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Just will explain you what are these. So now here I have a value here 1000. So I want to insert this value, and the length of the array is length equal to 10. So because of the length equal to 10, here this array has created with the 10 lines. But this second one is the index of the array. So the second is the indexes of the above array. So this is above array, this is indexes, because always the indexes I start from the 0. So that is this. So here, see, simply I'll explain you here. When an array is created, the memory for that array will be allocated in sequential memory locations. The amount of memory allocated to an array depends upon the size and the size of the data type of the array. Once the memory for the array is allocated, all the elements will be initialized automatically default values. Here these all default values are 0, 0, 0. An array contains multiple values. For the entire array, we have only one name. In order to access the array elements, we take help of index position. The index position always begins with 0. The range of the index position will be 0 to the -1, means always it should be one lesser position less. Every array is internally an object and it contains a default variable called length, which represents the size of the array. Means this array, what is this? How this array is here? See here, this array we can define here like this: int array. So declaration of array equal to new int here. This is the 10. Because of that, it's created as a 10th position like this. So here array name. So how these positions will call always here. So here just I'll show you here. Array name. Here is the index equal to index equal to starting address of the array, starting address of the array plus index into size of the array like this. So always whenever you want to call any index positions of this is the way you can call this. For example, here I want to call this index position of ARR 0 position. How I can call this? So here the first one is the starting position of the array is 1000 plus this is the next one is the index is 0. So size of the array is 4 because it's on 1000. So into 4. Then what happens here? Total value is 1000 only. Like this. If you want to call this, see here, second value. Here, if I want to call second value here, this is the 1. So 1000 is a common. And this is the here 1. So 1 into 4. This is what is this? 1004. Like this. If I want to call like a fifth position, for example, fifth position. If it is a fifth position, here it's a fifth position. So 420 is 1020 like this. Can be defined like this. This is the way the array positions will define like this. So syntax for accessing the array elements is this is. Which position you want to access, that position you can access like this. When we are accessing on the array elements, we are supposed to specify the index position within the range, otherwise we can get runtime exception. Means if it is here 10 only, if I specify 11th position, then I can get here one more exception, that is array index out of bound exception. Means that is not in a range of the array. So don't worry about these exceptions. We'll discuss in separate video all exceptions. There are around 20 exceptions in Java. Those exceptions we'll discuss separately in Java. So this is. And the next is to assign. If I want to assign some value to array, how can I assign? So that is array name. Here position of the index equal to here whatever value you want to assign, that value you can assign. For example, ARR 0 position, I want to assign value as 40. Like this you can assign this. So this is about this, how the single dimension array declaration and what are the rules and how to find out the index position of the index positions. So in the next video we'll see one example using single dimension array, how this loop, using enhancer loop for this, that we can discuss in detail. Thank you for watching this. Please subscribe to get more updates.